Greetings, this is Flares. I'm doing a character review of the new unit Castor. I've been working on this for the past 8 hours, running him through dozens of comps, and having a lot of video footage to go through. I'll show you in my spreadsheet a little bit later, but Castor is a Warden tank for Ultra. He's one of the few non-trash units of Ultra, as you all know. He's not Club tier. I would say he's roughly B tier with caveats at the moment, because he is on par with the likes of Sangha, the likes of Goliath, the likes of Tulu, Salvador, Lily in that role of a tanker. With caveats, he can be extremely good if you whale him, just like how Senga is extremely good if you overexalt him. Castor gets better the more you invest in him, the better wheels you have, the better covenants you have. I'll go into that later. Unfortunately, as a new player, he will start off extremely weak, or about Sangha tier, but his cars are pretty decent. One of the few things he's good for is shielding. Ultra severely lacks a shielder. All of his cars, if you quasar them, which you want to, gives you a nice hefty shield of 45, and that scales depending on what wheels and what covs you run on him. You can build him full tanker with defense, with Nautilus wheel plus 12, with feast from above, and he will give you hundreds and hundreds of shields. I'll show a clip of that later. Overall, his mechanic is whenever you play his cards first, he shuffles a feather in deck. That feather does damage, inflicts corrosion, and draws a card and gives you a shield. His main mechanic is inflicting corrosion. Unfortunately, as corrosion is dog shit. His corrosion is absolutely dog shit. You will never proc it to any real value amount, because it is flat damage and it doesn't scale off of his percent damage. So his corrosion suffers the same fate as Wanda's counter, as other units with flat values. You will never build enough corrosion. Even with his talent, see here, I tried to make corrosion work. It does not work that well. A lot of Chinese players try to make it work. It does not work. The max you can probably build if you try super hard is about like 50,000 corrosion a turn, and it disappears at the end of the turn. So you can ignore this corrosion mechanic. All that theory crafting about corrosion and single target, yeah, just ignore all that. Until they buff this corrosion is basically useless. Ignore all this. Base damage corrosion, damage champion corrosion, worthless. Now, next part of the video. So this is Castor playing as a shield. You can see this is what I built him a shield, feast and everything. Now let's see how much value he gets for his shield. We'll rate him as a shielder. This is a shield belt. So in arc 2, let me see, where do I give his shield? He gives decent shield. Let me see. This increases retain shield. And now his defense, 179 value. Pretty large, pretty significant. Now let me see me play it. Boom, 179 shield. And compared to everyone else, Nautilus only 75. Let me annihilate that. Again, his 2 costs, 112 shield. Really good value. So, in case any of you have been playing Ultra, this is average shield. This is normal shield. This will look great to anyone who has played Ultra or who has suffered. 351, great value for an Ultra unit. Average in every other realm. Average in every other realm. Now, he is a great shielder for Ultra, but Ultra don't know what having a real shield unit is like. They only have Winkle. They've been suffering. Castor is an amazing shielder for an Ultra unit. In any other realm, he would be average. In Aqua, he would be compared to Corpo. he will be compared to Sangha. In Chaos, he will be compared to Nautilus. In Caro doesn't have anything. He will be compared. He will be great in Caro, but as an average unit, this shield is slightly better than a white stance. Ultra is just suffering. It's like a country that's extremely impoverished and poor, who has never known real cuisine. Now, if they eat fucking spam, they're gonna be like, oh, this is great. Is this actual food? You're actually feeding me? This is delicious. Now you give spam to a normal American, they're gonna look at it in disgust, saying, what is this? For poor people? This is disgusting. But if you give it to a starving child in Africa, that is the best meal they'll ever have in their life. That is what Castor is as a shielder to Ultra. He provides them with much needed shields. He's average shielder. He's great for an Ultra unit though. So this is the Chinese showcase of damage amp. This is a lot better than any of my footage, but this is what happens if you build him damage amp. So what happens is he scales infinitely on his Onyx Plume every time you play it, and every time you play Onyx Plume, it reduces his Umbral 3 cost by 1. So this is if you build him damage amp. He can deal a decent amount of damage, but it requires a lot of setup. This is a 7-turn setup. Under Arc 2 rules, and under Arc 2 rules, he gets increased damage value, so it's more inflated numbers. But this is a showcase of his power in the case of hyper invested, damage amp. So I'm just gonna let the video speak for itself. Every time you play Onyx Plume, the more he plays, the more it scales, and it scales pretty hard. Now it scales his damage overall, all of his cards. And then you play his Umbral cards last. So his Umbral card now does 33,000 damage, etc. It's pretty decent damage. Again, it requires a lot of setup. He's good in that aspect, but he's not being played for his corruption mechanic, unfortunately. Okay, now the final way to play him, which is what I tested thoroughly, crit damage buffer. So I think this is the best way to play him, and why I think he's an insane whale carry. So this, so far, is the best comp out of every comp I've tried. Arc 1, Arc 2, blah, blah, blah. I use this boss so I can hold this without spending hours upon hours, even though I did spend hours upon hours. So what Castor does is that his 3 cost, every time you play it, the entire team gets 15% of Castor's crit damage. So you stack crit damage on him, and you spam that shit. And your entire team will have huge amounts of crit damage value. Now, Riker is mandatory for this comp. Why? Because of Riker's Relic. So Riker's crit Relic is an additional 50% crit damage on Castor. Now, damage number, all it goes up. This builds strength. So I'm just showing you how this Ultra Turn works, blah, blah, blah. It scales up pretty hard. You get some pretty funny numbers in crit damage. So I'm showcasing their crit values right now. Hamel, 83. Tawil, 110. Now, I play this. Riker, 317. Hamel, 130. And Tawil, 162. That's an additional 60% crit damage off of one card there, double played with Hamel. That was one card. Now, I'll show you how insane it gets next turn. So we're going to Ultra Turn. If you set up all these Umbrals, this is why I want to do this. You can stack up insane amounts of crit damage. And there's a neat little effect I found that sort of breaks the game and sort of doesn't. Which is why one day buff Castor. This will be the strongest burst comp in the game. The burst damage will be huge. Because it is recursive with Tawil. Now, how is it recursive? She can copy his cards. And when she copies his cards, she feeds him crit damage, which makes his crit damage he feeds her higher. I will show you on my spreadsheet I made. Again, I've been working on this for the past couple of hours now. So I'm just playing. Also, there's an interesting aside. So 212 crit, and look at Tawil, 110. Now, I play all of the Umbros. You don't give a fuck about his wings. You don't give a fuck about playing it. You just care about drawing for the Umbros. I double up the Umbro, and I play the Onyx to make them cheaper. So again, after that, 215% crit damage on Tawil. Again, my fucking Castor is not that strong. It could be stronger. So this doubles her crit damage. I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep playing these cards. Every card, 5% crit damage for the team. Why I am able to get that value without Nao Whale? Riker Relic. Every card, 35% for the entire team. So you play this and then play your team's burst. Now, the recursive aspect. Right now, Tawil's card, 48 crit damage to the team. See that? Much higher. So it feeds into each other. So I play this twice. I double play it because it's, you know. Probably should cut this video, but I'm too lazy for that. Yeah, and it's eventually I played that, and it died. I was gonna try to do more stuff, but you can kill bosses through immunity if you just hit it hard enough. Apparently, I've been doing this on every boss. This also happens to Ramona for some reason. If you just do enough damage through immunity, it just dies. I don't know why. This happens on like a lot of bosses besides the Chapter 9 final boss. So let me switch to the spreadsheet. So this is what I've been working on, and while I'm on this spreadsheet, I'll discuss my thoughts on him and his tier. So this is what I have. This is the 8 hours of footage I had of testing. I just recorded 8 hours of total testing on several comps. I will discuss all the videos I didn't show you because it's too much footage to me to go through, and it'll make the video extremely boring. If you want to watch it, maybe I'll upload it. I probably won't. I deleted them all. But I tried it in a Jellet comp. He does help Jellet crit harder, but Jellet wants strength build. So you have to choose between Castor or strength building. And Tawil can dupe Castor's crit damage card, but you want to dupe Bloodthirsty Fails. And you'll want to power scale. Jellet scales off of power much harder than she does crit damage. I tried for about 2-3 hours. I eventually got a run where I built 900% crit damage. It's still less value than Jellet having that much in strength. 900 strength, she values more than 900% crit damage. The reason why is because Bloodthirsty Fail, her card, has a 5-time strength bonus. There's nothing in the game that has a 5-time crit bonus for Jellet specifically. So that comp doesn't work that well. I've tried. Now Jenkins sort of works well with the crit damage. However, not ideal compared to Damage Amp Castor compared to other Castor. What I found worked best is what I just showed you, and I have more clips of it, but that's the general gist. But the recursive Tawil. But you can also do it with regular basic bitch Castor crit. So this is the Castor math max crit damage. What I was running with in the video was 110% crit with Goliath's Titan's Blade, which gives me additional 660% crit damage. But This is the theoretical max crit damage you can run on Riker. Daffodil's Wheel, if you kill 5 mobs, 93%. Morimens Wheel, Castor's E, because Morimens Wheel gives crit damage to the whole team too. His E12 bonus, his base crit damage, Covenant Substack Max, Covenant main stat max, April of Praise, Riker Relic, theoretical base max without relics you find, 35.4%. 354%, what am I saying? Again, so I worked on the spreadsheet. I used if statements. It didn't take that long. Look, if a blah to wheel, if this is just if this, if statements all around. So the fun thing I'm gonna do about this is I can change the name. Boom, it changes all the values. I love Excel. Excel is God. Look, to wheel, Castor again, Castor, boom. So this shows you the power of recursive Castor. So recursive Castor with to wheel provides the highest crit damage buff in the game for your team, and you can take advantage of that for some funny number scaling. As you see below, like total team buff, like it really gets strong after 4 cards. So let's see, if you play Castor to wheel, Castor, Castor in terms of his card, your entire team gets 300% crit, and to wheel's crit damage will be this high, Castor's crit damage will be this high. Now let me change it to Castor, 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 2 to wheels, then 3 Castors, your team will get this. I show some other values here. Like this is a value case if you want to play 3 to wheel Castor cards first. So to wheel will have 814% crit damage by the end, and Castor will have 511% crit damage. Again, these are very high values. This will feel your to wheel cards hard. The reason why to wheel is so good, besides her copying Castor's card, is because her E3 strike and defense buffs her crit rate and crit damage by 30% once you play it 10 times. Again, at the end, your to wheel will have 814% crit damage. It will do 8 times more damage. Now, I keep testing this on bosses. I cannot find a boss that will live long enough. I tried D-Dive, set max HP with to wheel Castor. It dies before I'm able to hit the funny numbers. Like, that's an issue. I need to find a boss with, like, infinite HP. Because it dies when to wheel's wings do 250k each. Which I've hit at one point. The highest I hit with my shit to wheel and shit Castor comparatively to the max value was about 431% on to wheel. It's in the 400% range, but theoretically you can hit the 800 range. But 400% range is easily achievable if you put Castor crit damage. And 400% on to wheel is pretty strong, and to wheel and Riker will scale crit on their own. So I think the best comp at the currently is recursive to wheel with Riker, Castor, to wheel. And I just slot the Hamel in here to dupe the Castor cards, to dupe the to wheel cards, make it easier for the card draw. And I play Mountain so I can draw the Castor card. Again, this Wombo Combo Burst turn makes Ultra to wheel pretty bursty compared to blue wheel, compared to other wheels. I like it. I'm going to experiment it more over the coming days. Again, this is what I want to tell people to try out. Crit damage Castor, okay? Look at this. This recursive math is very strong. You saw the image on my cards. Every whale Castor, I read their fucking 3 cost. It gives like 15% crit to the whole team. It gives 20% crit to the whole team. One whale, get this 53% crit to the whole team, dude. It's huge. Now I'm going to switch views to game capture. Again, I would recommend Castor with a crit damage shield. Fuck damage amp, dude. Damage amp does do well, as you see in the Chinese video. Go all in on crit damage, dude. Recursive to wheel ultra. Recursive to wheel. Like, get that. I mapped it out. And theoretically speaking, it's fun because I like doing this map stuff. Eventually, past the 12 card mark, if you play your cards in the right order, in a crit damage, Riker to wheel, perfect relics, you will hit 4,000% crit damage for your team. Why do you need that much? Will you hit that hard? Probably not, because the boss will be dead at that point. Again, everyone, crit damage. Crit damage. Crit damage on him, dude. Right here. This card, 15% of his crit damage. He gives it to Wheel. To Wheel has this stronger. She gives it back to him. Recursive Umbral Flight. That is a combo. Now, again, he's B tier. He helps your team survive. He's hard to set up. But he's probably going to get buffed. Because right now, Corrosion, worthless. This might as well not exist. Again, oh yeah. His wheel's S tier, pull on his wheel because it's hand size. And any new players, pull on his wheel. He's a decent unit, B tier. However, he's probably going to get buffed to insanity. I'll make another video when he gets buffed. But right now, for endgame, he can set up a very strong turn. But again, it's very hard for new players to build enough crit damage to do the whole crit damage shenanigans. And I find that fun in the game to break stuff. And his crit damage is on the verge of breaking stuff. I did the spreadsheets. I spent hours mapping this out. I spent hours experimenting with different comps. I experimented with Riker. I experimented with Blood, with dyes, as I said before. I experimented with Jenkins. I experimented with Blue. I experimented with Corporal. Corporal Tentacles because you don't care about it proccing thing. Doesn't work that well. You need crit damage for the best. The best results I had with him is crit damage. Besides the damage amp, because I don't have damage amp test. But I think he will age well in time. He needs some more oomph. Riker goes well with him, but he's not S tier, unfortunately. He needs severe buffs. But crit damage. If you invest in him, he can do some funny numbers. He will help you live. His shielding is strong. You can put not wheel on him. You can put not wheel on him. This. Right here. You can put this on him. It buffs the shield. On top of his wheel. Plus 12. He'll have insane shields in Ultra. He might even have blue level worth of shield if we're extremely coping here. But he's a decent Ultra unit. He's not trash. Like Clem. But he has some severe weak spots at the currently. Because if you don't have him E3, he's worthless. Because these E's are too important. Like this, mana gain for every Umbral Crane. This is decent. But this is what you want to make your 3 cost cheaper. Without this, he's worthless. So he's E3 or bust at a minimum. I overexalt him because I really like him. I really like playing him. He's one of my favorite Ultra units to play, even though he is a bit lacking. He requires too much setup compared to other units. Jellet is brain dead. Dyes is brain dead. Horla is brain dead. He requires you to play his cards. He requires you to hold his feathers. He requires you to think about how you're going to scale him, whether it's damage amp, whether it's whatever. So he's more complex than those units. But I like him. I don't know. I like playing a million cards. He plays a million cards on his burst turn, dude. So, final verdict, B tier. He's probably gonna get buffed. After buff, he's probably A tier to S tier. But right now, for new players, if you like his design, if you like his kit, if you like crit damage pool, if you're not a fan of his design, if you don't want to overinvest in him, don't pull. Save your pools for Dorsey, save your pools for G-Doll, which is coming up. Anyway, that's it for the video. I'm out.